from New York and London. I'll level accusations like the press till you realise that you've...
I'm really looking forward to playing, you know. So that's the thing. When I saw the lineup for the festival and the Buzzcocks were on just before us, I was like, this is that, you know, that was kind of the reason why I was like, yeah, let's do it. That was a real selling point on the festival for me. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing. We haven't played a festival in quite a long time. Like, you know, we've only just started gigging after 9 months off, which was supposed to take a lot longer than 9 months off, but you know, we haven't. The only time that I'm like happy is when I'm writing songs. Like, you know, when I'm not on tour, I become very reclusive. Just stay at home, you know, and like don't really see anyone, don't do anything. So it's kind of, in some ways, it's like I would have no social life. I would have no life if I wasn't on tour. You know what I mean? Like, Johnny was wanting to do another album, we were kind of burnt out, and then so Johnny was writing on his own, and then I went over to see my brother who lives in Portland in Oregon, and we just started writing. So we were writing separately. So you just got to go where, it sounds like a very hippie-ish thing to say, but you got to go where the music takes you, and it was taking us both off in different directions, you know. And I spoke to him, and we both absolutely understood that. So yeah, there's definitely no animosity, and you know, like I miss having Johnny around. You know, he still is a good friend. We've written a couple of songs that to me sound very poppy, you know, but and then we've written some stuff that, yeah, is very kind of like very stripped back and quite and heavy, you know, but I find it so difficult to describe the songs that we're writing, but something about it feels like the early stuff, you know what I mean? It feels like something about the approach feels a lot more like the earlier stuff, you know. It's kind of like, it's more based on feeling rather than sitting down and dissecting songs, you know. We're actually just like kind of the songs are coming out of like just getting together and plugging in and playing again, you know. It's not like but that said, you know, it's still an advancement on the, if we don't make a record that's an advancement on all the rest, then we would never put it out. I still feel like this is an advancement on the last record, but in some ways it feels like a return to, you know, the classic crib stuff, I suppose. You don't know where inspiration comes from, really, do you? I suppose it's like just events like that, or like, you know, things that are significant like that, like definitely like change your mindset, you know what I mean? And so all of a sudden we have things that, you know, obviously you have things that inspire you to start writing, but also we kind of had to get together and spend some time together and like you know, figure. We knew it was going to happen because we had actually been writing separately anyway, so it seemed likely that was going to happen. But I don't know, I think that when something like that happens, all of a sudden the band feels very unified again. It's like, oh, well, it's us three against everyone else now, you know. So something about that really kind of gets you motivated, I suppose. I always thought the first one was the most straightforward, but there's something weird, there's something strange about that first one. I think it's because I look back to when I wrote it, and we'd grown up in Wakefield. I'd never been to London. I'd never really left Wakefield. I left to go to Chicago once on a whim, where I was living for a while, and but I'd never left there. You know, we all worked there in a factory, and I look back and I'm like, we were just a bunch of weirdos with a record deal. I don't know how that happened, but that's part of the reason I like the record. And you listen to it, and it's so naive. And then you listen to the second record, and we're like all of a sudden we're like totally like kind of angsty and annoyed, and it's because we've been to London and realised that the music industry was kind of, you know, not everything that you were hoping it was going to be or whatever. So I don't know. I think you can definitely chart that kind of progression, but I don't know. I do like them all. I've got to say that I do like all our records, and I don't like. I know that sounds like a little. It's certainly not meant to be egotistical at all, but we wouldn't put them out if we didn't like them. You know what I mean? It was funny. I mean, like there was such a great irony. I remember, like, at the time, just finding it so funny that, like, we had songs like "Hey Scenes" and everyone's singing it, and I'm like, God, like, no, like, there was such irony to it, but it was an interesting time. I think that particular era. I think that it was just, you know, before all of a sudden guitar bands became very chart orientated shortly after that, and at first it did feel like you know, a lot of the first wave of you know, guitar bands that were coming out back in like 2005 or whatever, it felt, well, or even earlier than that, like 2004, it felt like there was a DIY element to it, and that's why it appealed to me, because we'd always come from a DIY scene. Yeah, we were on Squirrel Records at first, which was like a noise label, but also we had this like all this like really really outdated recording gear that we would use to record you know, various records for various indie labels, you know, so we were like very much about the DIY scene. And then so it seemed interesting and exciting at first, and then all of a sudden guitar bands, you get to, like, especially when you get to 2007, everyone's chart oriented. It's so unbelievably mainstream that it became a little bit cringe-worthy, really. It's just strange because I think that we still retain some kind of, because of where we came from, and because of the fact that we're all brothers and we were so insular, and we never aligned ourselves with anyone. I always feel like that we have just always existed regardless of what the trends are, and that's really good. You know, I mean, we didn't become the biggest band when the guitar bands were a trend, but as a result, we haven't got any smaller. We continue to like get bigger all the time, which, like, you know, that's kind of interesting. So I haven't seen it happen to many of the other bands that we were playing with at the time, but I just don't think about it. I don't consider what the trends are, and I just don't care, because I think that if you are part of a trend, or you try and move and shift with trends, that's when you look back and you're really embarrassed on certain eras of the band. You're like, God, that was so embarrassing. So I just don't really care, and I think that, you know, yeah, guitar music isn't as popular as what it was. What is popular now seems to be a much more I think that people were sick of bands trying to be really rock and roll, you know. So it's now like an anti kind of. They want things to be as meek as possible, you know. And but you saw that happen in the 90s, you know. People got sick of all the Britpop stuff, which I never liked any Britpop stuff anyway. But there was a reaction to all the Britpop stuff where everyone got into that whole new acoustic movement, you know what I mean? And like, I see the same thing happening again. People have got sick of all the guitar bands that came out of the early part of the 2000s, or whatever you call them. And now that's why we're in this like very, I don't know, very kind of like almost yuppified kind of period that we're in now, I suppose. I always feel like we have got a reputation for being naysayers, or like being like, oh, this sucks, everything sucks, you know, and being real nihilist about stuff. So I don't know, I kind of try to stop having a commentary on current music trends, because I just don't care. We just like, I just am more interested in what I just want to concentrate on doing my own thing, you know. So I don't really care what's in fashion or what's in vogue. Doesn't matter.